Well, hey guys, it's Dr. Drake 63 here today. Thank you for joining me. And recently you've seen several videos where I've talked about a newly acquired 1959 Winchester Model 70 in 30-06. One of the things we particularly talked about was this very nice stock that we've come to find is worth a lot of money. And this was manufactured either by Bishop or Fajan. We're not sure, but that's a whole different video. But one of the things we don't know is what a custom stock like this does to affect accuracy. And overall, since I picked up the rifle, it had some things that, these old pre-64s are kind of known for, a stiff trigger being one of them. And so what we're going to do is kind of take this a step at a time before we do anything such as pillar bed or, anything like that in terms of this stock, because I'd rather not mess with this stock. And we've already had the discussion about, hey, put a factory stock on there. That kind of defeats the purpose of having this stock, which I really like. So there's three things that I'm going to do to try to accurize this rifle before I get into any of that. And the other thing is, it's a hunting rifle. It's not a competition target rifle. If I can get consistent 2 MOA or so with 30-06, that's definitely nice enough for hunting. I don't take shots over 300 yards, but I believe, especially the age or the condition of this rifle and lack of use and the way the barrel looks and so forth, there's no visible damage to the crown, anything like that. So we should be able to get this down to a sub-MOA shooter. So here's what we're going to start with. We're going to talk about putting in a lighter spring. And we talked about making an adjustment before I adjusted this all the way that I could. And we were still only able to get well, there's a 5.5 pound pull. Doesn't seem what you want for hunting. Let's try this again. Yeah, 5.5 pound pull. That's crazy. So we're gonna first look at that. Other thing we're gonna do is experiment, which I've seen is to be some real good advice to follow on these rifles. We're gonna experiment with how much we're gonna tighten the screws that attach this to the stock. And specifically, this is the one you want to tighten the most, is my understanding. These two in the back less, especially the one in the middle. And because if you over tighten these, what you're doing is you're actually bending or changing the stress points, I should say, on your receiver. I don't doubt if you can bend it, but you change the stress points, it affects the harmonics. So the first thing we're going to do today is put in a new trigger spring. And I picked one up from this company, Ernie the Gunsmith. Now, I had wrote Ernie or purchased online a wanting to go with the Hunter trigger spring, which is on top. And that claims that, that'll get the trick done. For whatever reason, I got a Target trigger spring. I don't know why. I'm gonna put this in because it's not that big a deal. We're gonna see what difference it makes in the pull. So I take a hammer and a punch and drift out this pin that holds the trigger in, but you want to make sure not to go all the way because you want it to stay connected to these other items. Otherwise, you've got more work putting it back together. So anyway, we've done that. Trigger comes out, and there's your original trigger spring. I'm assuming this is the factory trigger spring. So that's all it is. Original trigger spring is on the left. New trigger spring is on the right. It's shorter, which means less compression, which means easier pull. Basically, we put that on here, install our trigger back, and punch the pin back through. Not a complicated process. Okay, as you can see before when we were pulling on this, we were hitting it about 4.5 pounds. I'm sorry, 5.5 pounds. Let's see what difference this makes now. All I've done is change out the trigger spring. That's it. I haven't polished anything, any of that. So we're just curious to see what the effect was of our efforts. 3.5 pounds. Feels like even less than that. We'll see what it looks like when we get the stock back on, because that's comparing. But already we've lightened this up by 2 pounds right off the bat. Yep, 3.5 pounds. So we've done a lot to lighten this up. I'm not looking for a 1.5 pound pull or anything like that. I thought it was interesting. This is called a target, given the circumstances, but that's the kind of pull I'm looking for in a hunting rifle. I'd like it to be a little bit deliberate, but 4.5, 5.5 pounds is too deliberate. Now the other thing that I'm going to do, this is a Weaver K4. It's a fixed power scope that's 4 times basically, and it's got really good glass. 4 power is just a little bit too much for my tired eyes at 55, going on 56. We hunt in Montana. We're taking a lot of shots out to 300 yards, and it isn't as much as I need more magnification as I'd like a little bit more light coming in. And so I've ordered the Weaver 6 power and used, and it's got a bigger bell on the front. It's going to bring in more light, give me a little bit more magnification. So when we go to put that on, that's going to come in sometime this week. When we go to put that on, then we're going to redo our mounts in terms of knowing that they're tightened and things like that. I really haven't done a lot to that at this point. So we'll be re-zeroing in and so forth. So the 3 things I'm doing to Accurize, I just did one of them. I lightened this trigger pull up by a couple pounds. Second thing is, when I reattach this to the stock, the advice I've seen is go very tight, you know, more than snug, about 36 foot-pounds on the front screw, okay? On the very back screw, get it snug, but you're not looking for anything major. And on the middle screw, just get it so it's engaged. And that should supposedly assist in the harmonics when we shoot. Now, doing all of these things before we shoot again, you know, we'll see. It's a 30-06. This is a 1959 rifle. Looks like it's in great shape, though, from all I can see. So, like I said, the goal here is to get this down to consistently, 1.5 MOA, shooting off a bench, and it'll be ready for hunting. I think it's ready for hunting now. I just want it better. Anyway, this is Dr. Drake 63 saying thanks for watching. We'll keep you posted.